We're putting money back in the hands of the fans with our Survivor 50 picks and predictions. That's right. We're counting down all the castaways from 24 to 1, breaking down their betting odds along the way. All this and more next on Popcorn and Root Beer.
Grab your popcorn, dim the lights. It's movie time, we're taking.
The tribe has spoken.
All right, and welcome into Popcorn and Root Beer, your place for all things entertainment betting. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, taking over from our usual cast of characters because we're talking Survivor 50 picks and predictions tonight on the program. That's right, we're going to give you a full betting preview for the 50th season of the adventure game show that has captivated television screens for almost my entire life, over 25 years now. Jeff Probst and 24 returning players hit the ground in Fiji, so we'll tell you everything you need to know from a gambling perspective to make sure you're making some money this season. And help break it down with me is our resident Survivor and reality television expert here at In Between Mia. He's Rob Brereton. Rob, great to see you tonight. How are you doing, man? And are you as excited for I am to get into Survivor 50 in just a couple weeks from now?
I'm pumped, Seth. I am very excited for Survivor 50 in the hands of fans. It's going to be an epic season. First time ever that U.S. Survivor has done 24 players. So, yeah, I think it'll be a really exciting season. It's going to be very fast-paced. Got some fun twists. Got some potential celebs involved. So, yeah, it should be a good season.
Yeah, and Rob, you've probably at this point, have you seen every season of Survivor? And have you done any rewatches of past seasons as well?
I have seen every season. I haven't done any rewatches for this season just yet, but I will be.
Okay. All right. Well, excited to hear that. I was big into Survivor when I was growing up. When I got to college, kind of fell out of time to just have it on the TV, really. And over the last year or so, as IBT has brought it back into our content picture, I have binged, I think, Rob, 14 seasons of Survivor. I crossed off the new era, a lot of the 30s that I missed as well. So really starting to, trickle down through those seasons, through those episodes. And right now I'm on Winners at War. So no spoilers for that tonight, hopefully. And but excited for everything else and all the knowledge you can bring with us, as well as the IBT family who's going to be rocking and rolling with us. Tonight's show does look like this. We're going to go through our top 24 consensus Castaway rankings and betting odds. We'll then make our winner picks on Kalshi, and then we'll round it out with some Bet US Mike White props, as the director of White Lotus is back on the island of Fiji once again. And as always, shout to all those wonderful folks who are tuning in across various outlets on the internet. We see you. We appreciate you. Just like Jamie here saying, "What's up, guys?" Saying, "I have a buddy that was on the show Survivor. His name's Steve Wright. Had him on my podcast before." Steve Wright, do you know Steve Wright off the top of your head here, Rob?
Yeah, Steve Wright. I believe that he was on season 22 of Survivor. He's a former NFL football player.
Okay, well, there we have it, Jamie. Very cool stuff there, man. We appreciate you tuning in with us. Easiest way to support us, as we mentioned, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new as well. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the kickoff of Survivor 50. And we can really only do that with your help, so we'd really appreciate that. Also, let us know down in the comments below your winner picks. Also, do you enjoy this type of episode for Popcorn Root Beer? If so, we're going to try to bring more throughout the various seasons of reality television to you. And also, at this point, I would like to encourage y'all to please consider joining the IBT Entertainment family. This is our exclusive community where you can get access to our chat with our analysts and our viewers and entry into our memorabilia giveaways for absolutely no cost. You can then upgrade to get our full betting cards, our entertainment betting model, which has the over-unders for monthly Rotten Tomato movies, as well as the box office predictions for those. You can upgrade to that $3.99 per month and $36 for the year. We're also going to have some exclusive contest over there. And this will also get you full access into the IBT football family, all the contests, betting picks, and models we have for that, the racing family, and the golf family. And folks, do we have a treat for you right now at in-betweenmedia.com/chat, link in the episode description. You can right now go ahead and join our Bracketology Survivor 50 contest at absolutely no cost for you. The winner of this contest, you're going to win this absolutely sick Survivor 50 crew neck for free. We're going to give second place to Survivor, the Tribe Has Spoken board game as well. And then third place, you're going to win a free ticket to any 2026 and 2027 IBT event in the future, potentially even a Survivor watch party. We'll talk more about that in the future, though. All this available at in-betweenmedia.com/chat. We want to see you over there, folks. We'd love to see you take home this merch. And again, it is free right now to join this. We want to be as giving as we can as we roll into the new year. So we really appreciate that. And you guys checking that out. Rob, let's go ahead though. And let's look at Survivor season 50 in the hands of the fans. It will be premiering on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is going to be on CBS as always. I believe next day on Paramount Plus as well. 12 new era players, 12 preseason 40 candidates as well. Rob, can you kind of give us a refresher on some of the rules of the new era of Survivor that we will be playing in for those who are kind of coming back to the game maybe for the first time in some time since the COVID-19 pandemic? And also, can you kind of let us know some of these things we should keep an eye out for that the fans voted on that might change from the previous few seasons?
For sure. So the new era Survivor has been very consistent in that they've had a 3-tribe format. This is no different here for season 50. They'll be starting with 3 tribes, but 3 tribes of 8 instead of 3 tribes of 6. Another thing advantage-wise that's been very constant is something called a beware advantage, where if you want to get some sort of idol or advantage, you probably have to give up your vote, or you need to complete a certain amount of tasks before you get that advantage. So I would expect them to continue doing that for season 50 here.
Okay. All right. And as far as idols, are you expecting them to be in the game? That was a fan vote. And are you also expecting the live reunion to return, I would imagine?
Yes. I do expect those idols to be in the game. And yes, I've heard the live reunion is back in LA in May. So fans voted for that, and they shall receive that.
That was an easy slam dunk, right? And so was idols being in the game too. You knew that was going to have to be a thing. No edge of extinction. We're thinking as well, probably right now as well, as they just haven't brought that back. No fire tokens or anything like that we got a little crazy with a couple of years ago now. All right. Also, Rob, when it comes to what we're going to see in Fiji, what can we expect episode-wise? We know that we've seen in the past traditionally 14-episode seasons. They have been longer episodes in the past few years as well.
Yeah, so episodes have been 90 minutes for the past couple of these seasons, which I think is fantastic in that it lets us see the characters develop a lot more. On this season, because we have 24 castaways and there's only 26 days, I do imagine we'll see a lot of episodes where there's double tribal councils. I'm hoping we have more of those earlier in the season rather than later in the season. Agreed. As then once the season progresses, we get to see more strategy, more character development. But it's going to really hurt if some of our favorites go early and we don't see too much of them. So.
Yeah, great point there. And, keep in mind weather-wise that we saw with Survivor 49, again, shot at different times, but it was very hot conditions they were dealing with back there in Fiji. So we'll see what it is this go around. It's so funny, though, Rob, to, watch some of these newer seasons after you've watched some of the old ones where they're just absolutely, they're not getting rice. They're not getting some of those luxuries they would start the game with. But certainly, I've had my run with Survivor Africa and a couple of those seasons, and definitely a little different looking. That's for sure, I think.
Quite. Survivor Africa, actually, there was one player that ended up losing 70 pounds throughout the fall season.
Wow. Insane.
I don't think you see as drastic of a weight loss the way that Survivor is currently set up. But then again, it's always on a beach and people are able to get fish and things like that, even if they don't start with an essential like rice.
Well, let's go ahead and Rob, let's go ahead and jump into our preview with the rankings. How we did this is I put together winner rankings. Rob also put together winning rankings, and then we made consensus rankings out of those and then attributed betting odds based on that as well. So we're going to count down from 24 to 1, and we're going to start at the very top here with Colby coming in. Plus 6,300 right now, 63 to 1. Rob, is this an appropriate ranking for Colby? You have him 24. I have him 23 in my rankings. I just felt like the last time we saw this guy out, it wasn't what everyone was hoping. I don't know if time, and a lot of time at that, changes things.
Right. The thing about Colby for me is he made the final tribal council his first season, and he was unable to win the game there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this will be his fourth time on Survivor. And as you said, when he was last back in Heroes versus Villains, there was times where he seemed a little bit apathetic. I think that his presence in the franchise is really important.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like there's a chance the game may have passed him by, and I just don't see him as a serious competitor on a season like this.
Well, and isn't this a situation with Colby as well, where at one point him and Jeff Probst's really close, kind of drifted apart. They have now kind of come back together as friends, I believe. And I think that's why Colby is back here. Like, obviously, too, this is one of those things that is going to bring back kind of those diehard fans from the past, right? Because if you look at, the first 10 seasons of the show, is there a more iconic character than Colby? Maybe Boston Rob. But other than that, I don't know if there is, aside from the Cowboy Killer here.
He's certainly up there. Another thing to note, Seth, is that if you look at ratings for the season that had the best ratings of any season of Survivor was Survivor the Australian Outback, which is Colby's season. And so I feel like they had to bring someone back from that season, and it makes sense that it was him.
But no real chance, do you think, for Colby to win? I just think the game has passed him by physically. I think also strategy-based as well. I don't see this guy being someone who's really a gamer of the game, so to speak, anymore, Rob.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how involved he is in the community per se. Like, I'm not sure if he's connected to anyone else in the cast. There may be a little bit of a wow factor with him for some people, but I don't really know what to expect. But if he does better than anticipated, it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie asking, how are we already on season 50? Two seasons a year, minus 2020, right? So that's pretty much how you get there. Jamie, you're not that old. It's not one a year.
Came out when I was 11.
Okay, there you go. What, 2001? Am I correct on that? 2000 maybe?
2000, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I was 2 years old. I was 2 years old at that time. So I really only know life with Survivor on the television in the household. Let's go to our next highest ranked or lowest ranked player at Rob, and that's going to be Coach coming in here at 23, 62 to 1 right now. I'm seeing a lot of Coach pop up on my YouTube Shorts page right now. Just some of the classic moments with him and Cochran and the gang back in the day. I had him at 24. You have him at 22. Comes in at 23 consensusly for us. For me, I just couldn't help but look at some of those social media videos that got released that everyone wants to vote Coach out right away. And for me, he's another guy. Has the game passed him physically? And if it has, I don't know if his tribe at the very beginning of the game, Rob, is going to be super inclined to keep him around. We know how some of these like yogi types can kind of do, especially looking at last season, specifically with Shannon, who was just a little bit over the top. That doesn't really fly too much these days. I love Coach. I love what he's done for the franchise. I'm glad he's back. This is really his last hurrah as well. Rumor has it on the street that he kind of made a call during the casting process, said, hey, put me in Coach, and I'm going to be out there for you, Jeff. So thoughts here on Coach coming in at 23, 62 to 1 in the odds.
Coach is an iconic character of the show. If we were ranking the top characters of Survivor, he would definitely be top 10, probably top 5. That being said, he probably played the best game he could have played his last time out when he was on Survivor South Pacific, and he still didn't win there. And so I just don't see it happening for him here. I think at this point, he's kind of a caricature of himself, and he may be more there to be a character than actually contend to win the game.
Can you see him making the merge? Because I honestly see that being a tough bill of goods unless like we get a couple young folks who are kind of fanboying off him and want to align with him. I just think kind of the rush before tribal might get to him a little bit here, Rob.
I think it's possible. I think if he is willing to play more of an assistant coach role versus a coach role,
Yeah, yeah.
if he's willing to just fall in line with an alliance, I think there's definitely a chance. I bet he can still contribute fairly well in some of the challenges, especially pre-merge. So I do think there's a chance, but I just don't think there's really that significant longevity for him.
Okay, let's go ahead and keep it moving here with a player in Stephenie coming in at 60-1 right now. Stephenie has definitely had her run on Survivor as well. A few different stops along the way, starting with season 10. Rod, what can you tell us about Stephenie and how maybe her old school approach can adapt to the current generation of Survivor players?
Well, one interesting thing about Stephenie was she was on the first American season of The Traitors. And so she has been on reality TV a lot more recently than some of those old school people. She also played in that season with Cirie, who I happen to rank pretty high here on my list.
Interesting.
But in terms of Survivor, I think she's still in pretty good shape and would do pretty well at the challenges. I just think she's a strong, divisive personality. And so that's why I ranked her as low as I did and didn't see her as necessarily having longevity in the game. But if she can link up with people like, say, a Joe or an Ozzy or a Jonathan who's strong at challenges, then hey, maybe she can surprise and do a little bit better than I think.
Yeah, I like that call out, honestly. Like, that's kind of the type of alliance I think she needs to form, right? That's, I think, the type of group that she needs to get to, those loyal old school players. And we'll see, like, you know, there's always some of these players who are kind of along for the ride, but as I'm learning right now in Winners at War as well, Rob, that sometimes these females, especially early in these returnee seasons, get picked off early. So that's why I think both of us kind of have Stephenie down the list a little bit, especially as someone not afraid to mix it up. And speaking of someone not afraid to mix it up, is there a more iconic character from the new era of Survivor than Q coming back from what a run this guy had, man. So likable and lovable in the beginning, kind of became the heel of his particular season as it progressed, and looked like he might be a GOAT, but, you know, continue to play hard, goes out, as many did in Survivor 46, with the idol in his pocket, coming back with just an absolute ton of people from his season to work with or, you know, work against, as he did a couple years ago here. I had him 18th. You had him 21st. Comes in overall at player 21 for us, Rob, 53-1. I think those odds fit someone like Q, because while I can see him definitely being someone that players are excited is there, I don't know if people really want to hitch their wagon to him long term.
Right. Q is probably the most iconic player of the new era.
I agree.
I really want to see Q and Coach interact. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I do think that he may be insulated, though, for at least a little bit of the game. And that, like you mentioned, he has both Tiffany and Charlie from his season. I feel like he's probably connected pretty well to people from the new era. He's in good shape. He can do pretty well at the challenges. But I think that he's just going to overplay and probably is the kind of player who will go out maybe during one of the first couple swaps before the merge.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, like, is he that good at challenges? Because he was terrible in the post-merge challenges, and his tribe lost a lot at the beginning of the game as well.
True.
So, like, he is athletic, right? He's athletic. We can say that. I don't know if he's skilled athletic, right? So, or talented, but he's gonna be super fun, man, with the Q skirts, and you're getting nothing for Christmas and all that good stuff. It will be iconic. I'm excited to see Q out there. And if he can get, like, he's another person, like, if he can get with loyal players and play loyal from the very beginning, where no one, because that's kind of the game he was playing last time, right? Was he kind of wanted to play loyal. He makes this big alliance at the post merge that kind of just fell apart. Everyone started turning on each other. So he pointed the gun first, which really kind of got him in a lot of trouble. And then when Hunter wanted to go out of the game, he's just like, send me home, right? And that was like the most baffling part. And I think really the demise of Q's game was, I think he was playing a great game, really, until, you know, he just kind of threw his hands up and made a stink at that one tribal there back in season 46, Rob.
Right. Yeah. He, I don't think that turning on Tiffany, on this season was the best move for him. But hey, maybe he'll learn from his mistakes here.
Yeah, we shall see. Let's keep it moving with another player as well that's coming in. And it is, of course, Jenna, one of the oldest schoolist players here in this cast. I had her at 21st. You have her all the way up at 15th. We right now have combined consensus ranking of 20, coming in at 49-1. What do you have to say? Are you excited they brought someone like Jenna back from one of the OG seasons like this? And do you think she can fit in this time around? Because as we know, it usually doesn't happen. Again, referencing back to Winners at War, Ethan, kind of eliminated pretty early in that
Right.
one, kind of seen as almost expendable, right? Because they're not a big personality. They're not someone who's going to dominate the screen time and also just be someone that you're kind of afraid of, right? But you are higher on Jenna. So what is your handicap on Jenna?
I was higher on Jenna. Also wanted to point out that if you look at her picture here, she's got a bucket hat on, and bucket hats are back in style.
Good point. Good point.
That's a little plus for her. But on a more serious note, she was really young when she played the first time. She was probably 22, 23.
Oh, wow.
Then she came back. She did well in Survivor All-Stars. And she's a gamer, man. Like I'm just a little bit higher than her. I think that she's been keeping up with the show. I know that she's been on Rob Has a Podcast a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's going to come out dialed in and ready to play and show that the old school players still have what it takes. And sure, maybe I'm not super high on her, but I'm high enough on her that I feel like she's probably better than her current odds. So I would throw some money on Jenna to do well here.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. And yeah, shout out to Jenna. She is actually from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so Western PA gal.
Mhm.
So Jenna, you'll definitely have a fan in here with me, and excited to see what she can do. And we also are going to move forward here at 19, Rob, with Jonathan. A guy that honestly I have to say, like the first half of his game and how he really navigated the post merge, I was very impressed with when I was watching back season 42. Because he really played that strategy like, hey, let's just pick off these people playing the middle, right? And he kept his alliance, at least, his tribe alliance there with Omar, Lindsay, and then Marianne, very, very tight. And it wasn't talked a lot. It wasn't, a big theme in the season like we'd kind of seen in 49 where it's a war of the tribes, right? But he kept it together. It was really kind of towards the end of that season where he got a little bit, I want to say annoying to some other tribe mates, right? Kind of really trying to call the shots at different times when he did have the immunity idol, having some weird plans like throwing Marianne in as the potential decoy vote when they was very, very unnecessary. And they had someone like Tori to throw under and just kind of got under people's skin. Eventually his closest ally in Lindsay, but he was a fire making showdown away from the top three. Was he a GOAT? I think that's the question I want to ask you, Rob. Was he being led there by Marianne and company? And how do you like him projecting out this season?
I think from a strategic perspective, he's maybe one of the weaker people on the cast. Mm-hmm. As you were talking about with season 42, I don't think he was a serious contender to win. I think maybe the way that Marianne had that set up was she was hoping that she would be up against Jonathan at the end instead of Mike. And Mike just happened to fumble final tribal, as it seemed like the edit was telling us that Mike was going to be the favorite going in there. And Marianne just kind of took it to him, and he didn't have much of a response. But back to Jonathan, I do believe that he can learn from his first time out there, and he is so strong at the challenges. He's one of the best pre-merged challenge competitors in the history of the show. And so if you're not sure when the next swap is going to be, you don't want to vote that guy out if you think you're in any sort of trouble. So I do think he has longevity in this game, but does that longevity translate necessarily to a better chance to win the game? I'm not so sure, which is why I was a little bit lower on him.
Yeah, who can forget that just iconic performance in the water where he's just grabbing all his tribe mates and bringing them to shore. It was awesome. And Jonathan, to me, like he's the post-merge boot, right? Or the mergatory boot. Like that's where I really see him. As soon as he pretty much doesn't win immunity, and we've seen it with Joey Amazing. We've seen it with these larger than life type of athlete characters that if you don't get them out, then they're going to do a Joe and they're going to go all the way to the end. I think that, and I think that's Jonathan's plan, right? He wants to meet up with guys like Joe who are loyal. He wants to meet up with guys like Kyle who are kind of your broy younger guys. I think that's who he wants to play with. But to me, I just don't think he has quite the strategic chops as some of those other players as well. So yeah, if I could bet on him to make the merge, I would, or at least make mergatory episode, I would absolutely do that. But to make a long run in this game, I don't think I can see that. So let's keep it moving here off of Jonathan, and we're going to get to Kamila, who just comes off a fantastic game in Survivor 48. I had her ranked 17th. You have her ranked 14th, comes in at 42-1 in our odds, Rob. And this is someone who, if Kyle was not here, I think Kamila would be much higher in both of our rankings. I think if there was not recency bias and everyone saw how she was someone alongside Kyle who was really pulling the strings for that entire post-merge game, that kind of just laid low, laid in the hammock, had her couple second conversation in the woods with Kyle when she needed to. I think she's a great player. I think she's a great strategist. I think she's pretty good at challenges, actually, compared to maybe what we thought initially as well, specifically on the puzzles. However, I just think with returning with Joe, with Kyle, two people she has history with, and the recency bias, I just don't think she's set up for a long run. I see her being one of the later boots in the pre-merge game.
I can see that too. To echo what you said, I think her issue is her season was the last season that any of these players saw before they left. So they obviously didn't see any of season 49 air, but they did see Kamila and Kyle's secret duo. As you said, they saw that Kamila is scrappy and a little bit better at challenges than people think. So I think that people will maybe think of her as potentially a little bit sneaky, and maybe try and take a shot at her, especially if it looks like Kyle is doing well in the game on a different tribe. So allegedly, she says that she had no idea that he was going to be on the cast. And if he's, this could have been a joke, I'm not sure, but she posted on her Instagram saying that she would have said no to the season if she knew he was on the cast. Is that true? Wow. Hard to say. But I think it'll be really hard for people to separate the two of them just based on the recency bias.
Okay, very, very interesting there. Jamie asking where you can bet on these. So these are our consensus odds. These are not available to bet. These are just ones that Rob and I came up from IBT. However, we will show you later on Kalshi their betting odds as well and where you can get invested over there. So make sure you're staying tuned in for that, our friend. Let's go ahead and keep it moving with RIZGOD, baby. Riz God, Rizzo comes off. Maybe what I think is one of the most underrated games played in the new era. Like, I really think this guy was pulling the strings, right? I mean, this guy, yes, he's a little bit of a showman. Yes, he was the boy that cried wolf with the idol, Rob. But at the same time, I just think the way he was able to manipulate people, making them think that an idol was only good till 6, maybe the underrated game of that move of that game. I mean, just so much manipulation this guy had, always knowing when to pick up the loose stragglers like the Sophie Singrettis. I think Rizzo's a masterful player. I am worried that players are going to feel a lot like him, kind of similar to how they did about Zeke off of Millennials and Gen X's, where it's, hey, returning player, we don't know much about him. We don't know much about his game. And he's a charismatic kid that I think people will see that instantly why he did get the call for Survivor 50. And also going back to those social media interviews, trying not to weigh that, hear too much fraud. Rob, but everyone said they wanted Rizzo out first. So I'm just a little bit worried for Rizzo from that standpoint. I think he's one of the best strategists in this field, but I think that will be picked up on by the other players pretty quickly. I think it's going to be a tough go for him to get out of the merge. What do you think?
I think so too. I think another thing is that this is definitely an older cast, right? Rizzo is one of, if not the youngest players on the cast. And so people could bond over things that, like, being married or having kids, something that Rizzo doesn't have. And so I think he might be a little bit of an odd man out in situations like that. And as you said, they just saw him, what he was able to do with the idol, holding it for as long as he did. The fact that people believe that it was up at 6 when idols always expire at 5 was kind of funny. It just kind of shows that the people that they're casting may not have been the strongest fans of the shows. But am I excited to see Rizzo? Absolutely. I just don't think he can pull off what he pulled off back to back. But then again, these people didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
So,
No, they didn't. And it's kind of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't, right? What will
right.
players choose? I think he's someone, again, like, to be honest, he did play a pretty loyal game, right? Like he
Yeah.
honestly did. Like, he had his ride or dies pretty early into that. He never voted for Nate. He never voted for Savannah. It wasn't until the end that he really was trying to get her out because he knew he had to win. So I love Rizzo. I love the game he played. I just kind of wish they would have almost brought him back at a different time, just so we
Right.
could really see him kind of strut his stuff. But let's keep it moving here with another player who has to be a fan favorite in this cash. Is Christian Hubicki, the doctor himself. Maybe my all-time favorite. I was always a Spencer guy. I always thought him and Fishback were my favorite players. And then I watched Christian, and just the emotion and the overall charismaticness that this guy carries with him, the beast he is in puzzles, was absolutely insane. We saw it on display early there in David versus Goliath.
Right.
And then also showed some chops down the stretch that, hey, if I need to talk to Jeff and talk his ear off for a couple hours and outlast Alex here and get myself an individual immunity idol, then I need to do that. Obviously, him and Gabby kind of have a split at the end there. That's kind of what causes his fall, but a masterful game. And if he would have got to the end, he would have definitely won that season. I had him 13th. You had him 16th. Comes in right now for us at 16th consensusly, 39-1 in our odds as well. Thoughts on the doctor?
I'm really excited to see him back. He was such a big character, such a big presence, both strategically, physically. I'm really excited to see Christian. I think that people just kind of knew he was a shoo-in for the next possible returnee season. I do worry that people just think, man, this guy's so smart. What do we do with him? How long can we really work with him? There's also 2 other people from his season who we haven't discussed yet. And the fact that there's 3 people returning from one newbie season, David versus Goliath, people could potentially see that group as threatening as well. So I'm a little worried for him, but man, I hope we get a lot of Christian screen time.
Well, it's one of those things too that he is a screen time killer for everyone else, right? That I could see them, those who are interested in being on the screen a bit more, saying, "Hey, let's get this guy out of here. I'm the star of season 50, right?" So a lot of big personalities, it'll be exciting to see how Christian can really fit in here. What is his game? Like what is he doing differently? What is he doing the same this time? Who are the players do you think that he should be linking up with and riding with? Could it be someone like Aubrey, who is a bit more of a strategist himself, could be his Gabby in this season? How do you kind of see this playing out, especially now that Christian just a lot more mature of a player and a human being as well?
I think he just needs to be willing to talk game with people. I also think that he's really good at puzzles. I think if he can somehow team up with people that are maybe good at the more physical aspects of challenge,
Jonathan.
like somehow Christian and Jonathan.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be a really unlikely duo. That'd be really fun, I guess. But if those 2 work together, like the way that Christian tried to work with the wrestling guy John on season 37, that'd be pretty fun to see.
Mayor Slamtown right there. Yeah, baby.
And also just having the camera zoom in on the 2 of them next to each other would just be kind of funny to see. But I think that he's got a lot of different avenues to potentially pursue. But the question just is, can he buck the perception he has on a season like this? Maybe, because there's so many strong players, but we'll see.
I think his puzzling, I think his charm will get him to the merge, Rob. I just don't know how much further it can go from there, because I think once you take out one of the individual immunity threats like Jonathan, you start looking someone like Christian's threat, who's not only a threat with his mind, but also with his body as well and what he can do in challenges. Let's move forward to a lady I just mentioned there, Aubrey. This is a player very decisive in our rankings. Large gap. I have her at 20. You have her at 8 right now, coming in 15 overall for us, 37-1 in the odds. I gotta be honest with you, Rob. Besides Kalshi getting a little bit crazy, which we'll talk about later, I don't have that much faith in Aubrey. Like, she is someone, as we saw in Game Changers, who can like coast towards the end. I don't know if she just wasn't playing hard in that game or if they just, for whatever reason, it's the final 5 boot and we're not going to show them and give them that much airtime. I was not overly impressed with her game that season. I also was not overly impressed when she came back in Edge as well. I thought she was actually rather disappointing in that game. It seemed like she was outclassed by some of the newbies like Gavin in that season. So for me, like, it's just a no dog on Aubrey. What are you seeing that maybe I'm not with another fan favorite here?
So at least for me, like I feel like she's back with something to prove because she did so poorly on Edge of Extinction. Like
Mm,
that was a really, really rough showing after one really strong where some say she should have won her first season.
yeah.
And another one where maybe she was a little bit under edited, but she was still able to claw her way to fifth. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she played 3 seasons in 4 years, right? That's really taxing. Now that she's had a 6 to 7 year break, um,
Good point.
I'm sure that she's matured a lot and she's refreshed, and I think she's in touch with the Survivor community, and I don't think people are really gonna be threatened by her, so I think she has a good chance to kind of sneak her way through. Also, there's no one from her original season, there's no one from Edge of Extinction on this season. She played with Cirie and Ozzy
Yes.
before, but they won't really be seen as connected. So I think she's the kind of player who maybe multiple people will see her as like an extra number,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll be able to accumulate more information than people expect in a game like this. So that's why I'm high on her.
Hey, that's a really good point, honestly, Rob. And like when you think about all these players from the 30s that are coming back, she's not honestly one that really stands out, right? You have the Christians, you have everyone from that entire David versus Goliath cast. You have the Rick Devens, right? Like she's not really in that
Yeah.
stratosphere as far as like character, and we know she's not might not take up a lot of screen time as well, so might be someone
Right.
who can stick around. Let's go next to our reigning winner here in season
Ooh,
49, Savannah.
we
Comes in at
differed significantly on her.
Yes, comes in 14th. I have her at 16th. You have her at 12th right now, 37-1 in your winner rankings, Rod and Robin. This is so interesting here with Savannah because I feel like she is a great player, right? And she kind of bullied her way to the end. Not bullied, but bulldozed, right? Like in a way, like she played in a very aggressive. She is someone who I think older players will respect because of how straightforward she is. However, I think she still does give off some of that mean girl vibes. I think it's a lot like Rizzo as well. That it's the devil you don't know. I think people feel threatened by her. I think she goes out before the merge in this game. I think she gets close to the end of the pre-merge game. I think she's a swap screwed type of situation here for Savannah, but I just don't know if she'll have enough friends in this game to move forward long enough and do what she did last time. Because again, I really think Rizzo was a big part of how she got to the end. And I don't know if she'll just be able to run immunity challenges, but if she gets to the merge, she's definitely scary.
For sure. I think that because they haven't seen 49 and the way that current Survivor is, balance and grip strength are the most important things for challenges. And so you see a lot of people trying to do like CrossFit and things like that before they go on the
Mm-hmm.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah has incredible balance and is really built for new era Survivor challenges. And so if she can make it through that initial like threat purge at the merge, where maybe they're not going after someone like her, she can she has a chance to win multiple immunities in a row and really make a run to the end. Um, I think that she played a very dominant game, maybe the best game of anyone in the 40s. I was really high on her. I'm also
Wow.
really high on D, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little bit higher on her than you, but I do agree that there's a chance that she could get picked off a little bit before the merge, but we'll see.
Who do you think's her likely ally? Do you think like who's her Sophie, Blue Sophie in this cast? Is there one? And if her and Rizzo do end up on a tribe together or in the post merge game together, do they reconnect?
I think that once there's a swap, if she connects with either Kyle or D, who are the other winners on the cast, I think
Yeah.
that's a natural ally right there. Um,
Okay.
if she connects with Rizzo, I think they will be targeted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a little bit scary, but people will assume that they are together, so they might as well work together, right? But I think the other winners are maybe still fairly likely from others' perceptions to be an ally, but maybe less likely than Rizzo. So I think those are maybe some good options for her.
Does she tell them that she's a winner? How does that go? Do you lie? Like what do you, because you would think that her and Rizzo would have a conversation and have their story straight pretty much before they come into this game, that they are, in lockstep with that.
I'm willing to bet that Jeff tells them on the mat that
Okay.
when he talks to her, he's like, Savannah, you just won season 49.
Yeah.
And
Just lets the cat out of the bag. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so she might as well just tell people.
That's like the I can't remember what movie it is. I think it's like Aladdin, where it's like all the players with the guards with the swords just like line up around him with the swords ready to strike. That's kind of what that would remind me of for Savannah. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right.
We shall see. Another player we're really decisive here on, Rob, is our guy Ozzy, right? I have him right now at 8th overall. You have him 19th. He comes in right now 13th consensusly, 36-1. To me, I see Ozzy playing a very similar game that he did in Game Changers, but I think maybe he makes some post merge updates to his game, right? Like, I think, one, he's not going to be the challenge beast he once was, right? But I think he'll continue to be someone that people want around because he is a provider, right? He is a good vibe type of guy. And people don't really see him as a strategical threat, but he's someone who's been, Rob, I know you go to a lot of these watch alongs. I'm sure you've ran into Ozzy a time or two. Like, this is a guy who is very ingrained in the Survivor community. I don't know if he has a job outside of like Survivor appearances, right? Like, this is someone who knows the game super well. I think he will be willing to be a bit more cutthroat, but that's, I guess, maybe what's always going to hold him back. Is he going to be loyal to the soil? And is he just going to get caught sleeping in the post-merge as he has a time or two in the past, Rob?
Right. I mean, I know that he runs some events in LA for like different watch parties and whatnot. So he's definitely clued into the community and is connected to some of the newer players, which could be helpful for him.
You're right.
My thing with him is he's played 4 times. This will be his 5th time playing. This will also be Cirie's 5th time playing. You've done it 4 times, and it seems like you haven't really learned or adjusted your game.
True.
I'm just not so convinced he can do it on the 5th try.
Yeah.
So that's why I ranked him where I did. But I do think that he does have some longevity and that he could make it to the early merge of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like, that's a great point with the connections. I know he is friends with Christian. I know he has been in touch with these newer winners too. I've seen them at different events before as well online. So it feels like he's someone who I think can get by, man. And like, imagine like an alliance of him, Joe, and Jonathan. They're kind of a similar archetype of player, right?
Right.
I just think Ozzy's a bit more seasoned than Jonathan. I think Joe, as we'll talk about, maybe has more longevity in this game. But I expect a pretty good run from Ozzy, but it is tough to see him win, which is why I think he comes in here at 36-1. I also want to talk about another player who has played in the 30s, and someone I know who a couple people would argue that, was kind of hit with some unfair twists as well in the game. Someone who definitely had a shot at winning when they went the distance, but just came up short here in Chrissy. How do you feel about her coming in at 33-1? I have her 12. You have her 13. So someone I definitely, and it seems like you think, is going to make the merge. I just don't know how much her longevity lasts post then.
I think she's a very polarizing player. And so I'm not so sure she'll make the merge, but if she does, I think she's in for a deep run. She doesn't mind speaking her mind, which around the right people can be a really good thing, but around the wrong people, it can be a really bad thing. She's pretty good at challenges. I believe that she won 3 immunity challenges on her season. So with the right kind of people, she could maybe win a couple competitions close to the end of the game. I know that she is, like I mentioned, she's divisive and polarizing. And so I think she's a potential really early boot in a game like this, especially because there's no one from her season coming back. But if she can somehow fit into the right group, I think she could do really well. I'm just not so sold.
What about Joe? This is a guy coming right off of season 48. He's 33-1 in our odds right now. I have him at 5. You have him at 20 in your winner rankings, Rob. And this is a player that I think he's going to be dangerous here. I think he's going to be absolutely dangerous because people think they know the profile on this guy, that, again, recency bias, but kind of in a good way. Like, I think the old player is going to love Joe because he is someone who's going to straight shoot him, right? And I think the newer players, like why wouldn't Kyle play with him again, right? Why wouldn't,
Good.
and why also would Kamila shy away from him? Like, I think the new era players are going to love him. I think the old era players are going to love him. And when he gets to the post-merge game, if he can get out some of these bigger immunity threats, which I think is actually who he's going to want to work with, again, the Aussies, the Jonathans of the world, but he can run immunities to the end. And I think this time he will not be afraid to, at least at the end, be a bit more cutthroat, because he really got played by Kyle specifically on that Shaheen vote. I think he's really going to have to step it up. So that is the question. And is that maybe your question, and what is hesitating you on ranking Joe higher is just, this guy's too pure. He's too nice for Survivor, Rob.
It absolutely is. Yeah, I disagree with you on that. I think that it's because it's so soon. It's just a year after he played the first time, and he's going out right after his season aired. It's going to be really tough for him to, at least in my opinion, for him to change his game. And so I think of the people on this cast, he has a great chance to reach the final tribal council, but I don't think he will be able to play a strong and complete enough strategic game to win the game. And so in terms of like a power ranking of players that are going to go deep into the game, I would have him pretty high. But in terms of I'm betting on him to win, I wouldn't have him as high, because I don't think he's going to place himself in situations where he can win the game.
Do you think, even like watching back the season and seeing how he was played a little bit, you don't think that will cross his mind that, hey, I need to make a move here at the end, kind of do what, make like a Jesse type move where it's just a betrayal, a backstabbing of Cody, something like that? You just don't think that's in the cards for Joe, huh? You think it's just too nice, huh?
I think that he might try and execute it, but I don't think that he will be able to execute the proper build up to actually properly execute moves like that. Like, he maybe will have ideas like that, but because he hasn't built the strategic relationships to do that, he isn't able to execute those ideas.
Okay, and next we have Angelina coming in at 10 overall. Yeah. I had her 7th, you had her 17th, Rob, and comes in 32-1 right now in our odds. And this was interesting because I think Angelina is a dangerous character. Still waiting on that jacket from Natalie. Hopefully she brings one of her own this time. But she is a player that honestly impressed me. She got herself into a bad situation pretty early in the post-merge game back there in David versus Goliath, right? And she was kind of able to wiggle alliances and maneuver around and find a home there with Nick, with Mike White, and really honestly, played a pretty good game. Obviously not as good as Nick and Mike White that season, but she's someone I think who will adapt with that. She's someone else who's a bit embracive, right? Like definitely a hot personality, but I think now she's a mother. Now that she's a bit more aged, she'll have some of that seasoning to come back with. So I think Angelina's a real threat in this game, Rob. I'm going to be honest with you. I think she's one of the women I'm higher on in this competition.
Yeah, I'm fairly middle of the road on her. I'm really excited to see her back. I think she was an iconic character. She had some really iconic moments in David versus Goliath, with both Jacket Gate and the rice negotiation that went wrong, which is interesting because she's an MBA graduate. I figured that she would negotiate better for the rice.
Right.
I do think that being a 0 vote finalist on her season, as Mike, who we'll talk about probably a lot later, and Nick collected all the votes at that final tribal.
Yeah.
I think that will fuel her. I know that she's fairly connected in the community. My only worry for her is that she could potentially be seen as dead weight in some of the challenges. If we somehow get a swap, so we're starting out with 24 players, right? I could see us very easily swapping into 4 tribes of 5 at 20.
Ooh.
Which would be fun. And then maybe 2 tribes go to tribal, and we have a swap again at 18 or 16, right? If she ends up on the wrong tribe of 5 and they lose, she could be in trouble. So I worry for her a little bit pre-merge due to challenge strength. But as a character, man, she's great. And she's going to deliver great confessionals. And the gameplay will maybe be a little bit all over the place, but hopefully she's learned a little bit. So I hope she does a little bit better than where I have her ranked.
Yeah, she's someone that I can see kind of playing that type of game, like a Laurel game, going back to Ghost Island, right? Where you kind of get in with 2 boys again, or 2 stronger players, even if one was a female, and you're kind of just their third piece, right? And it's like the thing we know with Angelina, as opposed to someone like Laurel, is Angelina's not afraid to pull the trigger, right? Like
No, she's not. No.
how many times was there a loaded gun for Laurel and she wasn't able to? But so I think that's maybe what makes her dangerous. And then maybe someone doesn't want her to be in their final three. But I'm very excited to see her back as well. And I'm sure she'll bring us some great moments along the way. Let's next get to a player I think a lot of people are very fond of from the new era. One of the harder gamers in Genevieve. I have her 15th. You have her 5. Comes in at 9 overall for us. 26-1 is Genevieve. And what a masterful game she played. A part of one of the biggest moves, I would say, in the new era of Survivor in Operation Italy with Sam, with baby Andy as well. And really, really got to give her credit for everything she was doing, because, her and Rachel pretty much from halfway through that post-merge game, they were at each other's throats. They knew only one of them could win this game. This beach is only big enough for one of us, right? And still played a really strong game strategically. The thing with Genevieve is last time, and I think she was aware of it, she started talking about it probably halfway through the season, despite not getting a ton of airtime early, Rob, was, hey, I didn't make enough connection with the people. I was afraid to open myself up because then I would hurt them, kind of play that, Cop Sarah type of game, right? That we had seen her play in some returnee seasons, right? Where you get really close and become friends with people. Are you seeing that maybe she can see that overnight and kind of make that change quickly here in her Survivor career, Rob?
I think she will course correct. Yeah, I do. I'm pretty bullish on her as a player here. I think that she was probably the strongest strategic player in Survivor 47. As someone that lives in Canada, I'm a little biased towards her. She's Canadian. So I would like to see her do well for that reason. She's also the only player from 47 who is returning. I know that Andy was in contention to be on Survivor 50, but unfortunately,
that would have been great.
Yeah. So I think that will help her in that people will maybe see her as a free number. And I would love to see her connect with someone like Christian and just like kind of nerd out and talk strategy. I think that'd be really fun. But I'm pretty high on her, and I think that she could do really well here.
Okay, next up, we have Tiffany coming in at 24-1. And I know she is a lot of analysts' preseason pick, right? She's someone who's kind of coming in here a bit under the radar, someone who didn't have a ton of screen time in her season, obviously had her battles with Q late in the game, played with him early in the game. Jeff even made that, part of his little promo at the beginning, which was a little bit rude to her, I think. But, still a fun character from a season that I don't think any of us thought would end in a Mackenzie vote like it did. So what are your takeaways from Tiffany? Is she someone that can fly under the radar enough, because she is a bit of a challenge threat compared to some women on this cast? Also, can be a bit abrasive at times as well and not afraid to speak her mind, and someone who could be a power player if all things turn out right, but could be someone who shipped out of here early as well. Rob, you don't see it that way, though.
I don't. I feel like a lot of the reason why people have Tiffany pegged as a potential winner, someone to do really well, is if you look at who's won seasons like this before. Survivor All-Stars was won by Amber, who was one of the last people to make the cast. Survivor Micronesia was won by Parvati, who, after her first season, Parvati was not the Parvati that we know and love today.
Point.
Like, she was a decent player, but she wasn't viewed as one of the best players in the history of the game. Then if you look at second chances, Kelly Wentworth didn't win the game, but she was kind of in a similar role. So I think that people are attributing that under the radar, underestimated female archetype to Tiffany. Tiffany's pretty strong-willed. I think she could do really well here. I think that people will not see her as a threat when maybe they should. So I'm high on Tiffany going pretty deep in this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, Rob, honestly. And I think this is someone who, if she can find her Witch's Coven, right? You mentioned Kelly Wentworth and what she was able to do in some of those returnee seasons. So if she can find that cast of girls, probably like that seems where she was really working with last year when it came, or a couple of years ago there with Liz and Mackenzie and that gang when she kind of got off the Q boat. So excited to see what she can do, as I am with Kyle who's returning here, fresh off a Survivor 48 win. He is the most recent winner that these players have seen. I have him at 9. You have him at 4. Right now comes in consensusly at 7 at 17-1. So we're getting down there where the return on investment isn't as great if you're betting our odds, Rob. But Kyle's such honestly, I want to call it a dominating game, right? Because I want to say one of his best news of the season came when people weren't even talking about him as a potential winner pick in that he pulls out the idol there, gets out Thomas in that place where him and Kamila were absolutely like swap screwed, right? Takes out Thomas. Yeah, takes out Thomas. Very under the radar, made it look like he was voting for Kamila, she was voting for him, and then kind of bamboozled Joe a couple times, right? That's really why he got that win. I felt like he was able to confuse some of those players that he still stayed loyal to, right? He still got to the end with Joe and Eva, but he definitely outsmarted and outwitted them. And I think that's something that he will be able to do again. He's a super charming guy. He is a lawyer, of course, so that will put a target on his back, as we know. That is one profession players don't like to play with. But at the end of the day, Rob, Kyle's someone I think will have a run in this game. I just see if he doesn't have immunity early in the post-merge game, I could see him, if there's already no Jonathan, him being the next biggest, best competitor up, who also is just one of the best strategists. I just think he could be left on an island if he's not with the right alliance.
Right. What he needs to do is he needs to keep strong players in the game.
Yes. Shields.
How will he accomplish that? I'm not sure. It really depends on how some of these tribes shake out. But he needs to keep very strong physical or very strong strategic players in the game. Like, he needs to probably align with not only the Jonathans and the Joes, but like the Ciries and the Stephenies, or maybe someone like Genevieve, people like that. Like, he needs to align with those people. And if he can go in with the strong mentality, I think he's got a shot. But like you said, he's the kind of player where if he's, let's just say people are looking to target like a Jonathan or an Ozzy and they win immunity, Kyle's a really appealing person to take a shot at early in the merge. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I could potentially see something like that being his demise.
Yeah, luckily he is someone who's been known to find an idol or two, potentially keep himself safe, and he's not afraid to use the idol too, right? So many people use that as almost a defensive mechanism. Kyle, a bit like Rizzo in a way, willing to go on the offensive with it and use it to benefit his game. You mentioned Cirie right there. She comes in next, 17-1, also in the odds at 6 overall for us. I had her 4, you had her 9. I see Cirie playing a very similar game to Game Changers, right? That, you know, she's got her old pal Ozzy back, who they've had mixed relations with in the past, but they played together well there in Game Changers. And she's someone who I just think people won't see as a threat. Like, could she be if she makes it out into the merge, she's going on a run, I think, because pre-merge, she's a liability, right? Especially when you have even numbers on tribes in those challenges. But at the same time, this woman has just a savant style of strategic chops underneath that dome of hers. And she's also a really sweet lady from all accounts as well. And I think a lot of people will want to reward her. And if she does get to the end, she is an absolute threat, because who doesn't want to give this lady the money with all the kids she's had to raise and bring up into this world?
No doubt. I mean, and she has been on Big Brother and the Traders, and she won the Traders since the last time she was on Survivor. This will be her 5th time on Survivor. She has 3 strong placements, and one time she was idled out in kind of a fluke vote. In my opinion, Cirie is the best player to never win Survivor.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope that changes and that she wins. Is that likely? I don't know. Like, I feel like there's just a lot of scenarios where she gets taken out in maybe 5th, 6th, 7th place, or like you said, she gets cut kind of early in the game because she's a challenge liability. But I'm just really excited to see Cirie back on her screens. I don't have Cirie fatigue. I know some people may, because she's been on a lot of shows recently, including the Survivor Australia versus the World. She was also on. But no Cirie fatigue for this guy, and I want her to do well.
All right, well, back in her home of Fiji, where she belongs. Next, we go to D at 5 overall, plus 1550 in the odds. I had her down at 10. You had her at 2. And honestly, I had her lower before because I think she's just another person who is an absolute threat. And I think she will be recognized right off the rip here, Rob. Here's the thing, though. I mean, I think she's going to find an Austin in this game that she can just, it kind of use as a shield, right? I think she's going to align with someone. Maybe Kyle's an alliance member of hers, right? I mean, obviously Kyle's a married man, so not going to maybe take the Austin bait. And I think people saw that in her too, but I think this girl's got a lot of charisma, man. She's a beast at challenges as well. I think she's definitely a threat. Is she too big of a threat? That's what I worry about and why I have her at 10. What about you, my friend?
I think that she played the best social game of any winner of the new era of Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
She was also just on MTV's The Challenge and
Yes.
did all right there. I think she's really well connected with people from the new era. She is not so each of the winners is starting on a different tribe. So Savannah, Dee, and Kyle are all on different tribes. So it's not like she's immediately on a tribe with one of them and it's like, oh, those two are winners, so they could be a duo.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, her social game is just so good. As in Savannah's, but Savannah, I think, is a little bit more of an overt threat, whereas Dee maybe not as much. So I'm really high on her, and I think she could do really well again here.
Yeah, I think Dee has a little bit more of the softer approach, while Savannah can be a bit more abrasive, right? So, Dee, excited to see what she can do out there, and maybe she can even gain some like older alliance members, right? Because they see her as like, man, like this chick is a badass bitch, right? Because she is, like she absolutely is. That's kind of the game she played, and she owned it at the end as well. So, excited to see what Dee can do once again. And I said earlier that Christian might be one of my favorite on this cast. I think it's got to be Rick Devens, though, honestly.
Rick
comes in number 1 in my rankings, 10 for you. Excuse me, overall 4 ranking, 14-1 in our odds as well here, Rob. I'll tell you what, man. I think this guy is not only is he a great social player, he's a great strategist. He is absolutely hilarious and funny and goofy as hell on camera. And he's a challenge beast. Like we didn't think it coming in to Edge. I don't think anyone did that this guy was going to be the star of the show. He's not afraid to, climb up trees in the middle of the night to retrieve vitals. Like this guy is going to go for 110%. And I think he is he's kind of the same Rick Devens as he was, I feel like. And I think that's the game he has to play because there are bigger immunity threats than him that people are going to think. They're going to see guys like Joe who are jacked. They're going to see guys like Kyle who've won the game. And I think Rick Devens is going to be able to kind of sneak his way in. I think he'll find great alliances, though, because he's such a great talker and people love to work and speak with this man. So I just see him he's my winner pick right now, honestly. We'll talk about making some bets, but I think Rick Devens can go the distance here. And at 14-1 in our odds, I'm down on it like it's Charlie Brown, baby.
I think so too. He is not my winner pick. I'm a little bit lower on him than you are, but I do love me some Rick Devens. He's such a charismatic character. He really brought up the quality of Edge of Extinction so much. Just with his strong personality. That would have been incredible if he won the game. Well, he came back from Edge of Extinction himself.
Yep.
And so we had two people going at it in fire who both came back from the Edge. No Edge here this time to save Rick if he's in trouble. But man, he's just such a great character that I feel like for me, some of the character stuff overshadows the game stuff. And so it's hard for me to kind of choose between the two, like Rick the player versus Rick the character. I do think some people will be intimidated by the fact that he was able to find idols the way he did. That's my one concern with him. But I just hope he gets a lot of screen time, and that will make for some enjoyable episodes for us.
Yeah, I think he needs to find his David Wright in this cast, right? I think he needs to find his David Wright because he was a guy who, definitely stabbed some people in the back, but he did play with a lot of loyalty in that first game as well. So excited to see what he can do. And I think he could link up with someone like Mike White, who comes in here 3rd overall for us, plus 1150 right now. I have him at 3. You have him at 6. And this is a guy, who wants to vote off the director of White Lotus? And I don't know if there's also, why he didn't always show it outwardly in David versus Goliath, one of the more strategic threats, one of the more people who know this game inside and out. Obviously, a good friend of Jeff Probst, who has called on this guy and actually maybe saved the game from changing at one point for the worse, right? I mean, Mike White, very ingrained in this community, and he's back. And I just think he's going to be another guy who kind of like, hey, look at Joe, look at Jonathan. Like, I'm not a threat. I'm just Mike White. Plus, like, hey, maybe if we have a good enough run and, you know, we have a little rock star alliance, I'll get you on the next season of White Lotus. So I just think he's a guy that's going to be hard to get out. I think he's going to have a real run here, Rob.
There's, I don't know how many survivors have been on the White Lotus, but
yeah,
there's a decent amount. And there's that little bit of White Lotus equity. It's kind of like the Sia money equity.
Yeah.
Like, some people used to be like, oh, if I do this, maybe I get the Sia money, you know? The White Lotus equity is real here. So I think that might give him a little bit of an edge at the beginning of the game. Will it matter later in the game? Probably not. But he's someone that can definitely slip under the radar, is good at working with really any kind of person and talking to any kind of person. He's a little bit older and will probably be able to connect with the old school players really well too. So I am really high on Mike doing well in this game.
Yeah, I just don't see anyone wanting him out, right? Like I see him connecting with the younger audience. I can see him connecting with those old school players as well. So very high on Mike White. Excited to see what he can do this go around. We'll talk about him more in a second as well. Let's get to number 2 on our list. It's Emily. I had her at 6. You had her at 1 overall in your winner rankings. Rob, plus 850 in the odds right now. This is just another girl, I think, who's going to go really under the radar here, who I think is better at challenges than people give credit for. I think the butterfly monarch type of story arc that she showed in that first round of Survivor really shows what this woman is capable of. I think now, again, she's married too. Like give her a little bit of time to develop as a human being, take from that experience. And like, she really got off to the wrong foot, right? I mean, she was almost the first boot early in that season and just came back to have a magical run, ends up blindsiding Bruce, kind of having her big moment in the sun there, and then became too big of a threat and ended up getting taken out. So I think if Emily can continue to really be the charming gal that I think she is portrayed on camera and still a strategical threat as well, I think she's going to have a nice run in this game as well. Do you think so as well, Rob?
I mean, she's my winner pick. I'm a huge Emily fan. She is so wicked smart. The way that she was able to recover her original season from being on one of the worst tribes of the new era and almost a first boot to putting herself in a situation where she was, in a way, running things and seen as a huge threat was just really impressive to me. She is smart enough that she can really learn from her mistakes. Besides Dee, she doesn't have anyone from her season on this season. She doesn't have anyone that she was like a core ally of hers, as her and Dee only kind of loosely work together. So I just don't see who's like coming for her, who wants to vote her out, kind of like you said with Mike, but with Emily. So I think the fact that she's really cutthroat and really articulate, if she makes it to the final 3, I think she is winning this game. So she's my winner pick. It might be a little bit unorthodox. I know some other people may go for someone like, I don't know, a Genevieve or a Tiffany or something like that. But Emily is my winner pick, and I hope she does really well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Well, am I correct? She was also idled out of the game as well. Like, I thought it was a pretty fluky vote that ended up sending her packing maybe only 1 or so votes. So I you know, that's always a good thing when it wasn't like, hey, you were consensusly voted out. So
right.
And then let's go ahead. Let's get to number 1 overall in our rankings right now, coming at 6-1 in the odds. He is Charlie. He is the biggest Swiftie of them all right now. I have him 2. You have him 3 in your rankings. We both see Charlie making a deep run in this game. And honestly, Rob, he is someone that I think should be a winner. I think he got absolutely screwed by a jury that was super bitter, specifically one specific player at the same time as well. And like, so I think he's just as good of a player, if not better, than some of these other winners we've been talking about, like the D's of the world, like the Kyles of the world, and like the Savannahs of the world. But he's not going to have the big target on the back, right? And I think he is someone, he proved that he can work with an older player. like
True.
he did,
Yep.
like he did in that season, right? And he can also really get along with the new school players. It seems like he's been very connected in the community. He was hosting the Survivor podcast with Jeff Probst as well. So I think he's someone who just knows the game really well, and he's a charming individual who's just going to fly under the radar. And I think if he gets to the end twice, I don't know, unless there's someone like an Emily, like a Rick Devens, who's going to be able to take this guy. Are you really going to deny him another $1 million after he got absolutely cooked by his ride or die last time at the end?
My thing with him is I just don't see a weak point in his game. Like, he's somewhat of a threat, but he's not too threatening, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's fairly good at challenges. He has the ability to win an immunity challenge. He's not a liability in the pre-merge portion of the challenges. Pretty good at puzzles. He can, like you mentioned, he can connect with people of all different generations, which on a season like this, when you have a lot of people that are in their maybe like late 40s or 50s, is really important. I just think he's a really complete player. And you can't say that for a lot of the people here.
When he's someone too, like while he's very nice and friendly to everyone, I think he also is willing to kind of play both sides a little bit, right? Like he's willing to be your friend, but also when he stabs you in the back, like, oh, that's all right, man. It's just Charlie, right? Like that's just, it's just Charlie. Like that's kind of how it felt. Like he was like, it never felt like he was really like for whatever reason, a big threat in that season where they're just taking out big threat after big threat. And he was really in the cockpit for it the entire way as well. So I just see great things from Charlie, man. I think this is a guy, like you said, just you look at overall complete players. That's a lot of these people we've talked about here at the top. Emily, complete player. Mike, complete player. Rick Devens, D, Cirie. Oh, maybe not Cirie, but let's at least stay with that top 5. Very complete group. Don't have a lot of flaws. Not going to be big threats. And that's what we're looking for in our winner ranking. So, Rob, great stuff. Again, we'll count backwards up right now, and then we'll get into our betting odds over at Kalshi and see actually where we're going to lay some money down here. So again, we have Charlie at 1, Emily at 2, Mike White at 3, Rick Devens at 4. We have D coming at number 5, and then it's going to go to the wonderful Miss Cirie in 6. In 7, then we do have coming in, we do have Kyle. And then next we also have Tiffany coming in, who's been a big winner pick, as you mentioned, at 8. We have 9 is Genevieve. Coming in at 10 is going to be Angelina as well. Looking for Angelina. There we go. Angelina there. At 11, we had the mighty Joe. Next, we also had Chrissy come in. And then we had, after Chrissy, we had Ozzy, Savannah, Aubrey, Rizzo, Christian, Kamila, Jonathan, Jenna, Q, Stephenie, Coach, and Colby. Not going to go through all the banners there at the end, but great stuff there from you, Rob. Let's go ahead and cut some things up in Kalshi cuts and lay a little bit of wagers down. What do you say, my friend?
Let's do it. Can't wait.
Fire it up here. Kalshi cuts, baby.
Under the neon lights where the shadows dance, we ride the rhythm, take a chance. Blades of sound slicing through the night. Kalshi cuts, bringing fire to the fight. Kalshi cuts, sharp and clean, carving paths in a midnight dream. Feel the beat, let the echoes rise in the heart of the city.
All right, so we already gave you some of our winner picks, but we're going to lay down some cold hard cash on them right now. And Rob, we're over at our favorite platform of choice over there in the prediction market streets, Kalshi, of course. And this is startling. They have Aubrey right now coming in with a 68% chance to win. Absolutely insane number here. Everyone else down. We got Joe coming in at a 5% chance, Jonathan at a 5% chance, Rizzo 4%, Stephenie 4%, Cirie 3%, Q 3%. Coach Wade 2%, Colby 2%, Emily 2%, and really mostly everyone else in the cast is 1 or 2%. So you can make anywhere from 30 to 51, 50 to 1 odds on your money on really any of these players outside of that top list that I named there. So where are you putting money down? Obviously, it seems like Emily would be your first choice, especially at the generous odds that you're getting here from Kalshi that is absolutely not respecting her game whatsoever. Before we get to that as well, Rod, what do you make of why is Aubrey the heavy favorite for Kalshi and Polymarket as well?
I mean, there must have been a source that people think is a reputable source
Mm-hmm.
has leaked something about Aubrey doing well, if not winning this game. I am really intentional about not following Spoiled Survivor
Yeah.
or any Reddits like that. So I don't know what that source is, and I'm afraid to look it up myself.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, there's some sort of intel from a production member that is related to Aubrey's success in this game. So does that mean she wins the game? I mean, we'll see. But at least for me, I'm willing to put money down on people that I feel like we had mentioned at the end of the last segment had played really strong, complete games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be allocating some capital towards Emily, towards Charlie, towards Rick,
Yep.
and towards Mike White. I think those are 4 people that I would love to bet on.
That's exactly who's on my betting card right there. 50-1 right now. You can get Emily. I think that is just an absolutely insane number. Well, I was considering also betting Joe to see, because I think he is going to make a deep run. Just seeing kind of where he is compared to some of this other value, right? On Joe, you're not going to get quite the return. You're going to get 17-1 odds in Kalshi standards. So I just don't love that quite as much. But some of these other players you talked about, like Charlie, you bet Charlie you're going to get 34-1 odds. That is something I am very willing to do. Rick Devens 50-1. I think that is an absolute steal right now as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
So like there's just so much value I think to be had here, Rob, that we do have to sprinkle, right? You sprinkle everywhere but Aubrey pretty much. Like you fade the public favorite, because really right now she is going off where even money. She is the even money favorite to win. That is how high these books are on her. So we shall see what happens, but I'm not going to buy it until we see it. So a lot of good speculation there, and it sounds like honestly our cards are the exact same, that we're going to be betting these people that are going off at great numbers, like Charlie, like the Emilys, like the Rick Devens, and like the Mike White. Our top 4 in our consensus odds, we're getting them 34-1 or higher, really for all of that gang. So you got to like that quite a bit here, Rob.
Definitely. And I'm curious to see if odds move at all before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure they will. Right now, we're seeing not from Kalshi, but a couple other books that were closing their betting markets by the end of January here. So I'm sure we'll see some shifting and shaking. So I think it's a great time to get invested, because I just don't think there's a chance that Aubrey's going to go into this one 66%, 69% chance. It's already moved today from, as I'm looking at it live, Rob. I just took this screenshot earlier and put it in this graphic. It was 69-1. She's down at 66 right now % chance to win. So it's already moving back in the other direction. So I think it's time more than ever to capitalize right now. We're seeing the trends. Kyle going up right now in win equity. He's going up, and we're seeing other people like Mike move down the board. Charlie moved down the board. So still a ton of value out there, folks. So love that from you, Rob. Let's go ahead and let's shift gears one more time. We are going to get into a segment that we like to call the box office forecast, and we're going to turn it over to BetUS, who has some really fun props that we can get invested with our friend over there in Mike White. Let's fire it up here in the box office forecast.
Before the numbers hit the screen, before they say what it all means, you can feel it in the air somehow. We're calling it now.
As always, box office forecast lines presented by our friends over at BetUS. We appreciate them giving us maybe the most interesting market there is out there in the Survivor betting streets, Rob, with only Mike White listed on their site. Some Mike White specials, different categories we can take here from Mike White. First to be eliminated at 10-1. Mike White to find a hidden immunity idol at 12-1. Mike White to finish top 3 plus 650. Mike White to finish top 5, 2-1. Mike White to finish top 10, minus 150. And then 10-1 to win outright. So something to keep in mind here as well, that this book actually is a lot lower on Mike White to win than our friends over at Kalshi, right? They're giving you 50-1 at Kalshi as compared to BetUS. So I think that's really good odds to go over there and bet at Kalshi for a Mike White win rather than opposed to here. But when it comes to these placement props for Mike White and these other gameplay props, what's your approach here, Rob? Is it just to ladder it up the whole way from top 3 to top 5, top 10? I don't mind personally just drinking a ton of juice on the minus 150 and laying multiple units on it. How do you feel about it?
I don't mind that either. One that really stands out to me that I think is the best value would be Mike White to finish in top 3 at plus 650. I think that's the best value. If you look, it's plus 200 to finish top 5.
Yeah.
And then plus 650 to finish top 3. So that's implying to us that there's a pretty high chance that he gets 5th or 4th place. Whereas the way that he plays, unless he loses fire, he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy that's going to get 5th or 4th. So I think that there's good value in Mike White to finish in top 3. And that's something that I would be betting.
Well, isn't this a guy already, Rob, who's won in fire, right, in heroic fashion? So
yeah, he won fire and he took 2nd place. So
yeah, so I mean, I think the cards are lining up for this guy, right? I mean, who's opposed? Like, who's the opposition of Mike White? It's someone like Q to me. You know, I think he is someone like, hey, I'm the star of this season. I don't need no Mike White. I don't need no appearances on any HBO shows, anything like that. I see Q being an opposition for him. I could maybe see Coach or Colby also. Kind of a lot of these players that we see going out early in the game, right? I ultimately think are the opposition for Mike White. So I think if he can last a couple of votes, get to the merge, he's going to have a great shot at it. So maybe the approach is, like you said, let's hit for a couple of units, that minus 150 top 10 line, because then we're at least going to get our money back if he gets past the couple votes inside the merge territory. And then I think you're sprinkling on that plus 650, whether it's a full unit, whether it's a half a unit. I think Mike White, definitely a dangerous player as well. Who do you see? Is there anyone I mentioned that you see kind of being an opposition of Mike White, or anyone you think who could play with him this season?
It's tough to see who his direct opposition would be, just because he's such a likable guy that isn't outwardly threatening, right? But maybe someone who's potentially tribe strong in terms of challenges, like a Jonathan, could be direct opposition. In terms of working with him, as we mentioned in the previous segment, I think the possibilities are not necessarily endless, but I feel like he's going to be a very attractive person to work with in this game.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think a lot of people will be very fond of Mike White. So just some interesting betting markets as we close out the show there, folks. Really appreciate everyone who's been tuning in with us so far. Do us a quick favor. Again, if you enjoyed this video, as we're rounding out here on this episode of Popcorn Root Beer, give it a thumbs up, please. Also, make sure you subscribe to the entire channel. We've got entertainment betting for you, fantasy football, NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, and professional golf betting as well, all to help you cash more and to enjoy the ride along the way. Be sure to check out Rob's work over at in-betweenmedia.com. He has some dope written content, as well as our entire entertainment staff. He's going to have weekly articles coming out there that you can find there on the IBT site, as well as a syndication partner that we'll announce here in the coming weeks as well. So Rob, very excited for that. What else do you have going on here over the next couple of weeks? And any final thoughts for the wonderful IBT family and maybe some new friends of the show who are joining in for the Survivor content for the first time, Rob?
Well, to the new people, thank you so much for joining. So CBS is doing something that's pretty fun. They're airing some classic episodes of the show in the weeks leading up to the show.
Ooh.
So I intend on recapping and writing about those. So
awesome.
That should be fun. And then in our Discord, I'm hoping to have some conversation about those as well.
Yeah, very, very much looking forward to that. Again, as Rob mentioned, you can catch more of us chatting about Survivor, all the things happening in the entertainment betting world in the IBT entertainment family. Again, absolutely free to join the conversation to get into our Survivor contest and access into our memorabilia giveaways. You're going to then, if you're going to get the box office forecast, exclusive monthly betting model access, and our full picks and predictions that will be in there as well. And again, we mentioned it, the Survivor contest happening right now. The community contest, absolutely free to join. Just go to in-betweenmedia.com/chat. And if you're the winner of this contest, we're going to make our picks and you will win a Survivor 50 crew neck on IBT for you. If you're in second place, you're going to win Survivor, the board game, the Tribe Has Spoken, of course. And third place, you get a free entry into any of our IBT events from 2026 and 2027. So plenty of opportunities. Come see us, come hang out in person. Rob, can't thank you enough again for all your amazing work you do here, not only on Popcorn Root Beer, but also on the In Between Media website. Make sure you guys are following Rob as well on Twitter. You can find me at between_SethFF. Follow the site, everything we have going on here. I'm sure Steve and Trash and Jake will be back with another episode next week. I believe they're doing a rewatch podcasting on Popcorn Root Beer, so stay tuned for that later this week on the channel as well. We're going to have some more NASCAR future betting picks as well as our conference championship picks right here. So make sure you guys are staying locked. Keep it in between until next time. Thank you so much again, and we'll catch you then. Thank you.